I love you. Thank you for joining us on another Zoom. And you're about to meet from Virginia, Rebecca Lynn. She is a police wife, amazing lady. For 13 years, it's probably longer than that now, founder of the popular blog and social channels. She's proud to be a police wife. You'll just understand that when she starts talking. Dedicated to uniting police wives and their families through support, motivation, experience, and encouragement. Her latest book, right here. It is well done. I love the new format on this kind of book. It's almost like a coffee table book, or you could take it if you're about to go on a trip. Reading it on an airplane, it would be just phenomenal. There are 90 devotions for women behind the badge. Rebecca Lynn, thank you for being with us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me today.
What's the temp in Virginia today?
The high is 63, but of course this morning was 30. So we have a drastic change throughout the day.
Yeah. So it's a crispy feeling, right?
It is. It's not like a warm, sunny 63. It's still pretty cold feeling, but by Saturday we're supposed to be 85. So, you know, that's how, yes. And that's how it goes here in Virginia. The weather is a little bipolar. You don't know what you're going to get.
You are a great writer. I love this. And you were a former school teacher.
I was, yes. My background is in psychology and education, and I taught kindergarten and first grade for 7 years before I started staying home with my kids and then venturing into my blog, Proud Police Wife, and writing. But writing has always been a passion of mine, even since when I was a little kid. So this only felt like natural to serve this community in this way is through writing for me.
How do you start your blog?
Oh my gosh. So
different subject every day?
So yeah, and I don't write every day. I try to put out a new blog post every single week. But I also have like an email list where I email and connect with people, and then my social media pages. And I also have a podcast now, also titled Proud Police Wife. So they get many different doses of whether it's encouragement or support or resources daily, but it just depends on each day kind of what I'm doing. So, but on my website, on proudpolicewife.com, there are
it's be all on the screen so they can get you.
Perfect. Yeah. There are hundreds of different blog posts related to many topics, whether it's quote unquote solo parenting, how to deal with parenting when your spouse may be working night shift or maybe gone during the academy and things like that, all the way to dealing with like loneliness and fear as a spouse, or just how to give support to your loved one that may be in law enforcement. So there's a lot of different topics on the website, as well as like my podcast and things like that.
So as we speak, your husband is out there in the danger area right now.
Yes, he is. He's been in law enforcement for 15 years and is incredibly passionate about what he does, and wakes up every morning and does it again and again. So he's out there right now.
You say daily fear is part of being a police wife. It's interesting that you're near the Washington, D.C. area. And of course, many of the politicians ran on defunding the police.
Yes.
I mean, how did your husband's, because you're a psychologist, psyche accept that?
Right. Well, you know, I am not a psychologist, but I do have a bachelor's in psychology. But yes, it was honestly just a very trying time to, hear the words defund the police and see that there was a direct impact between that we personally saw and many other families in law enforcement that I talked to thousands of families a week, that we saw a direct impact between not only the politicians saying, these words, but also the media spreading this defund the police movement, and then community members picking it up. And so we saw this uptick with crime, with the way people interacted with law enforcement. That's what my husband saw on the job. People would just whip out video cameras or, their camera on their phone, just in a normal traffic stop, to video them, to try to, find something that they're doing wrong, which they weren't, but try to find, motive to, fuel this defund the police. And it's incredibly stressful on law enforcement. And in turn, it becomes incredibly stressful on the family members, because we know that, first and foremost, we know their job is inherently dangerous when they walk out the door. We always have known that. But defund the police has increased that danger because of, injuries to law enforcement. When you're out there videotaping police officers on the side of the road, it's not exactly safe. People aren't paying attention to what they're doing. And it just becomes incredibly stressful on not just the officers, but also the families that are waiting for them to come home.
Defund the police takes the respect for officers away. I mean, it's almost like telling these whack jobs, you have permission to call them anything you want to.
Right. And people would try to rile them up for video. They would try to do things that they wouldn't normally do because they were trying to, have a motive to get police in trouble. And it's just very disheartening. The other thing that happened a lot too, and then we still see this, is just this dehumanization of law enforcement. People thinking that, okay, they're just police officers with a uniform there to do bad things. And they don't think that they're actually human beings with loved ones, their fathers, mothers, baseball coaches. They're, the person in the parking lot that's helping an elderly person get to their car or take their cart back to the little cart parking lot. And they don't think that these are your neighbors. They just see them as these, horrible human beings when they have this uniform on.
And the media feeds that.
They do.
We have a media that it's like they took their schooling from the Soviet Union,
right?
Or these communist countries. You'd think they watch them and say, oh, we can do that same, and they're following the manual. It's amazing.
It is. And then we see this with, news headlines that, they have these headlines that are like clickbait is all it is. And, to get people riled up, and then people take these news headlines and they run with it. They think that this is true life. And it's not at all.
I exercise and every once in a while I'll see a policeman sitting in his car,
right,
checking the traffic and so forth. And I'll walk over and say, I want to thank you for what you do. God bless you. And they have the most shocked look on their face.
I know.
It's like they just didn't expect that. But whenever I have that opportunity, it's something that I do because I think more people should do that on a regular basis, like the armed forces and so forth. It's the same thing,
right?
Because there's a group of people that are in a profession that their life could be taken at any moment.
Right. And I'm glad you brought that up because, for anybody that's listening that, even you may not be a law enforcement family, or you may not even know someone in law enforcement, but if there's one thing that you can do, it's to say thank you to a police officer. When
How
you
simple.
It's so simple, but it's incredibly powerful because to them, those simple words are what is going to carry them to their next shift or carry them until they get home, because they're not hearing it very often. And we know there's supporters out there. We see all negativity all the time about how people don't support law enforcement, but we know there's supporters. It's just hard to see the light when it's so dark. So just reminding them of that. And I guarantee you, they're going to pick up the phone and call their spouse or, and say, somebody just thanked me, or somebody paid for my meal, or it brings them so much joy to know that.
I never realized until this is great, by the way. I hope everybody out there, because they'll see the information on the screen, exactly how you can have one, how you can get one. But I mean, your husband, he has to work on holidays, Christmas sometimes, child's like birthday parties or whatever. He's out there working or whatever. So you've got to rearrange your schedule. Yes. So how does that affect? Do you just get used to it?
Yes, but at the same time, I've just adopted the mentality, and I try to pass this on to our kids and have a lot of discussions about it, that it's not about the specific day on the calendar. It's about who you are with and making those memories together. And that's the most important thing that we try to remember is when daddy has to work on, Christmas morning, we might be celebrating the day before. So we'll do little things like send, a little note to Santa, hey, we're celebrating early. Could you, because our loved one is, out protecting the community. Could you come here a little early or things like that? And just really teaching our kids that, again, it's about who you're with, not the day on the calendar. We can make memories any day of the year. And that's really helped to deal with that mentality. We do have to rearrange. Even this morning, we had to rearrange our schedule literally 4 times to get the kids off to school and who was taking who where. And it happens and we just go with the flow. We're used to being flexible, but definitely around holidays and important milestones are the harder days,
Yeah.
but just trying to keep that mindset's important.
I would imagine your husband, if he has a pretty stressful day, very dangerous day, he's not going to bring that to you, is he?
No, and he tries so hard to just come home and move it from police officer to dad or police officer to husband. One thing that I really try to encourage is that he takes some time to decompress, whether, just 20, 30 minutes, because even though he's physically off the job, mentally, hormone wise, emotionally, he's got to decompress to get, off the job. Because when he's driving home, he still hears the radio, the dispatch radio in the car and all of those things. So he's really good at taking that time to decompress so that he can be present with our family.
You have some things, they're just bullet points. Loneliness, he experiences that. You talk about it's a different lifestyle, obviously, and
Right.
and to remember God in the process of his day.
Yes, yes.
That's so important. So that's why we need the people that are hearing this Zoom. If you think about praying for a police officer, you might see one even while you're going to the office or going to the grocery store, or whatever. When you look at them, just remember that person in that cruiser. Remember them in prayer, because you don't know from the time you go to your location what happened from that
Right.
moment. I mean, it's so you talk about loneliness and you talk about community, that a support system,
Yes.
that's what you talk about in your book, where we forget that we need to reach out to that kind of profession.
Right, absolutely. And support systems are huge for law enforcement families because, like, as a spouse, for example, I can't do everything on my own all the time. And my husband doesn't expect me to. When he's home, he is all hands on deck. But sometimes when our spouses are working, we can go 3, 4 days without seeing them for more than 5 or 10 minutes. And so if I get sick or, my kids get sick and I've got to get kids to doctor's appointments or things like that, having a support system that can, help you can watch your kids so that you can go to the grocery store, or they can help get your kids from point A to point B, or just have somebody to talk to vent to. And it doesn't have to be another law enforcement family. It could be family, it could be friends that are just willing to understand what this lifestyle is like. A lot of other first responder families or military families understand. So having that circle of supported people is really important.
Now you experience, I'm sure, fear. I mean, the word of God, we know that fear thou not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. But I would imagine when you hear a siren or
Right.
whatever, that you have that built-in fear, right?
Yes. And it's funny when I hear sirens now, I'm almost a little desensitized because I know I sort of have this thought process in my head. I just immediately hear that and I start praying. And going to God to put my fear to Him because it's not a situation that I can control. So I try to focus on what I can control, which
Yeah.
is not, displaying my fear and passing that on to my kids who are now watching me. Or we just say, Lord, please protect the first responders going to that call and whoever may need them right now, and doing that with our kids. And it's interesting because I feel like fear is. I've gone through seasons of fear with my husband being in law enforcement this long. I did have fear initially when he first started because I wasn't sure how to navigate this lifestyle. And a lot of when I searched for resources, I couldn't find much, which is why I started Proud Police Wife, because I wanted resources to be out there that weren't all filled with negativity. And I wanted some things to be positive. So I saw fearful things online, and a lot of them were myths. But now, the past 2 years with the heightened climate, I definitely had more fear. Especially when my husband was working protests and
Yeah.
riots. I did have more fear in that time because we never know if they're going to come home. But at the same time, it always kind of sits in the back of your mind. But the past 2 years, it was definitely more in the forefront.
You talk about teamwork,
Yeah.
because you have double duty when he's
Right.
out there, like right now.
Right. Right. Yes. Yes. And it's really important to just stay connected. And that's, all about teamwork is staying connected as
Do
husband
you
and
have
wife.
friends that you can like call immediately, or?
I do. Yes, I do. And then I also have family, within, 30 to 45 minutes. So there are often times where I call and say, I need you to come over. Or we are fortunate enough that our neighbor is also a law enforcement family. And
Wow.
so it just happened that way. And we're very fortunate to that. And so I can call friends at the drop of a hat, and we're incredibly thankful. But I do know that not everybody has that. So if you don't have that, it's really important to try to find that support
Can
system.
you go to church together as a family, or is that rare?
It's rare. The schedule he's on right now, yes, but his schedule for 13 years, no. He worked, and so I really had to get through in my head that I was going to go and do this with the kids on my own. But there were other times where I knew if I couldn't go, it was going to be okay. That God was not just in a building. I can still have a relationship with God at home, reading my Bible or watching church online,
Yes.
while I'm in pajamas and trying to feed my kids.
Yes.
And I can still make that work. So I had to realize that I could still get those things done and still build a relationship with God no matter what.
Does your husband check in with you during a day? Hi, hon.
Honestly, he tries, but I know that it'll be intermittent. Like I may message him and say, I hope you have a great day. It could be 7 or 8 hours before I hear something, and that's completely normal. I try not to bother him at work. Once in a while, if I get really excited about something with the kids, I may message, but I know that I don't expect a response. Usually, the text messages I get are, you may hear something on the news, and I'm okay. Or those kind of check-ins to know that if there was a shooting or if there was some sort of dangerous incident, he's just letting me know that he's not injured and he's okay. So uh,
You have a real, as a police officer's wife, if the news media come to you or a newspaper or whatever, you have to be careful what you say, right?
I
Because it
absolutely
could jeopardize his job.
Absolutely. So, honestly, especially during the protests and riots, I
Yes.
got a lot of requests. I even had a reporter that wanted to follow our family. And I thought, you have got to be nuts. There is no way I'm letting that happen. And so I'm very, I try to keep what I do separate from his job. Yes, I share some experiences, but, with my book and my website, this is what I do to help law enforcement spouses.
With the media, if you tell them
Right,
this is off the record, you
right.
can forget that statement.
Oh, I know.
I mean, there is no conviction whatsoever today.
Right, right.
And they almost set it up so they can trap you as a police officer's wife.
Yes, it's very scary. And I've declined many interviews or many comment requests in the past because I'm just not trustworthy, especially after what we've seen in the media. It's incredibly hard to be trustworthy and really see the clear motives of the media.
When you have a day to day, I mean, everybody has a schedule,
Right, right,
So your schedule has to be, if somebody like myself,
right.
civilian out here, because what your husband does, it's almost like he is an army officer or a police officer. I mean, he's in the same environment.
Yes, yes.
So what you do in a day, the average person could not probably cope.
I mean, it's definitely some days it's a lot. I won't lie. There are a lot of days where I have to tell myself, I just need to get done the top priorities and everything else will have to wait. So, making sure I shower and feed my kids and kind of keep them, happy, healthy, occupied. And those are the top things that I have to do. And if some days I can't fit in work and some days I can't fit in, extracurricular activities or going to the store or things like that, they have to wait.
Do your children respond to the news when police officer has been shot? Do your kids say, Mom, could that happen to Dad?
We shelter them a lot in the fact that like we don't keep the news on at all. So they don't hear things like that. Our oldest, though, has been asked just a small handful of times some things from kids at school. Like if she shares, her dad's a police officer, they say things like, has your dad ever been shot? Has your dad ever shot someone else? And things like that. So she's come home and we just have honest conversations with her about, what his job is like. And we just try to talk about the fact that, anybody's day, their last day could be tomorrow. Unfortunately, you could get hit by a bus. You could get, in a car accident. You don't know, when your time is to go. And we try to be completely honest because we don't want to lie. We don't want to say that, nothing will ever happen because we don't know that. So
you emphasize this in the book that somebody asks you a question, even your older daughter.
yeah.
You don't have to respond, right?
Yes, you don't. And that has happened a lot with myself and other people the past couple years that people think they know a lot about law enforcement when in fact they do not because they're getting their information. They're just regurgitating it from news headlines.
Biased media.
Yes. And so there's a lot of information out there that's not factual. And it's easy to tell when people either want to have an honest discussion with you, like our children, when people want to have an honest discussion with you, or they just want to spew facts and they don't really want to listen to you. They just kind of want to, have conflict. And I feel like it's really easy to tell that right off the bat. So I do encourage anyone to, when talking about law enforcement, especially as a law enforcement family, if this is not a conversation you want to have, don't have it. You have to have boundaries put up, especially like in the workplace, for example. A lot of spouses are getting questions while at work. And I just encourage them to say, this is my place of employment. This is not a discussion I choose to have here. And end of discussion.
Your book is replete with scripture. I love that.
Yes.
Now that's got to be a real comfort to you. We've got about 3 minutes, something like that left.
Sure.
Just respond to people that are watching.
Yes.
Something you want to say, maybe to the spouses that are in your situation, maybe they need an encouragement, but maybe individuals that don't understand what you as a officer's spouse goes through. So just kind of share that.
Absolutely. So for any spouses that may be watching or listening, just know that I'm praying for you, that I understand what you are going through. And, whether you check out my book or not, I hope that you can find encouragement to know that this lifestyle doesn't have to be all doom and gloom and negativity. You can thrive. You can have a successful marriage and learn to navigate this lifestyle with what works for you best. And for anybody that's listening that's not law enforcement, you may not know someone in law enforcement, but you may encounter someone, whether it's at church or just at a restaurant or in the parking lot. And I do ask for you to pray for them, not just for the officer to come home safely, but also for their spouses and for the children, because there's a lot of times that the children really are dealing with a lot. Last week, for example, my own daughter said my husband was getting called into work right around bedtime, and she said, "I'm not ready to share my dad right now." And so it is incredibly difficult on the small children of law enforcement, any children, any age, because they understand that their loved one is needed, but they don't want to have to do it every day. And so thinking of them and encouraging them or praying for them, I would ask that you do as well.
That is words that I hope our audience catch, because we forget so often that when we see a cruiser,
Yes.
we think of, what did I do?
Right. Right.
Not,
Yeah.
I need to pray for that officer that I'm
Yeah.
looking at or that I'm seeing parked someplace. This would be a good reminder for that.
Absolutely.
And to just bathe them, like the Bible talks about putting on the whole armor of
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Your husband, I mean, we all need to, but your husband, when he puts on that uniform, that's like a armor
Yes, it
that he's
is like the
putting
armor
on.
of God. Yes. And then the families at home are having like an emotional armor, letting them go and watching them, walk into potential danger and not knowing exactly what time they'll get home. We have discussions all the time, what time will daddy be home? The answer is, I don't know. It's always, I don't know. We don't know when my husband will get home. Some days it's a general idea, but it could be anywhere, between 7 p.m. and 2 a.m. We don't know. So I think you bring up a good point. If you see that cruiser, instead of just looking at your speedometer or checking your rear view mirror, seeing what you
Right.
did, take a minute to just think about what they might be missing at that moment, while they're going to that call or clocking on the job. Really thinking about, are they missing their kid's birthday? Are they missing, a holiday?
Amen.
What kind of call did they just come from? And that's all really important.
I want to encourage everybody to take the information that you're seeing on your screen and get your copy, pass it on to someone else. It's a great gift, a great birthday gift, great holiday gift, great Christmas gift. Just think about that, because it's going to give you an opportunity to share what we've talked about today. But this is the greatest book of all.
Yes.
It's the Word of God. Spend time, at least 2 chapters every day, because Jesus Christ is the answer to every need you may have. Thank you for watching. God bless you. Bye-bye.